Alright, so we're not starting the clock till I get to where I started it yesterday for the Ford. And again, we are going to attempt, I normally wouldn't probably try to go up this at 60, but we are going to do that as long as traffic will allow it. Alright, we are going. And I'm going to be using cruise control. Alright, so we are off to the races, guys. Watching that trans temp, and I can already tell you there's probably going to be some moments where we're gonna plan our next move so we don't have to slow down. I would do this in my semi, and some people would probably get pissed because I'm gonna move over knowing that I can't, that Swift truck up there, that I need to pass that fool, and I'm not losing my momentum, because that's the killer of any of these trucks. I mean, if the truck has to bog down, you're never getting that back. I mean, we need to keep the momentum rolling and keep it fair. So again, we have the cruise set at 60. Engine temp still under 210. We're not talking fuel mileage again on this run, guys, because what goes up must come down. So that's not a fair assumption as to what it gets over 8 miles. The truck without a load on normal flat gets like 11. So that's not going to be a fair, and I don't care. So we're doing an overall run over the 174-mile loop from Denver to Silverthorne over the Ike. So we will do that on the final wrap-up video. Again, it's infinitesimal of what it gets going up this short run. What I've noticed again, in the Chevy versus the Ford, is the Chevy wants to keep us right at 60. The Ford will let me drop down 5 mile an hour up and over before it does its next move. So I kind of like that. In the Chevy, it just wants to keep you there. It's trying to keep you there the whole time. And the power band, so the engine creates most of its power at 5,000 RPM and the most torque around 4. So we are there. You need to stay in your lane, pal. Ugh, Swifties. Alright. Again, if at any point I feel like something's gonna catapult this guy into oblivion, I will control that move. But as of right now, I mean, the engine's right where it's been the whole trip. Transmission is lower than it's been at some points during this trip. It is maintaining speed. As long as we don't have to lose momentum because some jackwagon whips out in front of us one way or another. That's why I'm staying in this lane, to hopefully omit, because there is more traffic today than there was yesterday. And the Chevy is getting an unfair 10-degree bump in temp over the Godzilla yesterday, but there is an Ike Gauntlet Godzilla. I will put the link in this video to that so you guys can see how that was. Again, you can definitely hear way less engine noise than the Ford, period. Just any given day. It's one thing I have to keep mentioning, because that's going to be an important thing for people, especially if you're towing for business and you need to have conversations on the phone or whatnot. I mean, and if you're doing that for a living, you're probably living basically in the truck, and you know, just less noise is better on your ears and stress levels. So Chevy definitely takes the cake there. GMC would be the same. So the Chevy did come down a smidge, but the Ford did this several times yesterday. It would get up to speed and then it wouldn't necessarily kick up a gear. We stayed in the power band, but it would bog down The Chevy's just staying right there, even though it went from 60 to say 57. It didn't drop a gear. It just went down a little bit. Like the transmission's keeping the engine in the right power band to maintain the speed that we want it to. Again, the road set's crap. I mean, that can affect the vehicle be able to maintain speed and everything too. Is all these dips and bumps and jaunts and stuff. The roads in Colorado really are trash. And I've been in a lot of states, and Colorado by far I think takes the cake. We're too busy spending money on other junk. So right down around 56 miles per hour. And again, in the Ford, you can tell what gear you're in with the gear selector over there. It tells you your range, and the orange indicator tells you what gear, so you would know. The Chevy is not busy. The transmission's not getting busy. It's the Ford, it was going between the gears. Again, I didn't need to lock out the overdrive gears because it wasn't getting that high, but what it was doing was it was definitely shifting, and I don't know if it was doing it to mitigate temperatures or whatnot, but yeah, it would shift those gears. You'll see in that video. So we're down to about almost 52-ish, I think, 54-ish. And the speed is not dropping another gear. Temps are fine. And we're getting close to the end of the test. We'll shut it off at the exact same place we did, and then I will give you the times there and the times again in the that. I know that this was a big point of contention for people, is how did this truck do versus the 6-speed on the Ike. So all right, so I'm going to shut it off at the light, the actual bar that's going over the road here after the little stoplight signs. That's where I shut it off yesterday for the other one. We started up the hill at 9:07, now almost basically 9:08. All right, so we are at 9:15. So this pulled this in 7 minutes, even though we did lose a little bit of speed. I felt